So how well do Jehovah's Witnesses mold in the workplace? I'll be right back. How you doing, guys? Shortly after I was baptized, I found out very quickly that Jehovah's Witnesses had little respect for individuals in the workplace. I so uneducated on how these people worked at the time, and I found out quickly that some of my jobs were semi-public, so you're going to run into people. I don't mind saying hello, a little chit-chat, but let me go back to work. But I found out quickly that they will take it one step further when they will stop bringing up meetings and things like this. You need to put jobs on the back burner so you don't miss the meetings. I don't like to be bothered in work. This isn't just Jehovah's Witnesses, but when I'm in work, I'm focused on my income and what puts the food on my table. I actually had no problem leaving a couple of jobs because they very well wore out their welcome pretty quickly. And this includes my current job, that a few of them felt obligated to pester me, even though when I was on somebody else's payroll, right up until after I was finally disfellowshipped. Well, it was one thing being pestered while you're working, but to actually work with Jehovah's Witnesses was a far cry worse. Now, I had worked with, over the years, 6 Jehovah's Witnesses over the years. A few of them I had worked with long before I was a JW. Matter of fact, the first one I had ever met, the very first time I had heard about one of Jehovah's Witnesses, this was back in the 70s. I worked in this very busy restaurant way back when. Now, this was shortly after that Watchtower banned smoking amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, the owner of the place I worked for was a smoker. And this one waitress that worked there, she was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. No secret. At the time, I figured it was just some sort of crazy, fangled new religion. Didn't know much about it at the time. Well, he was in the office. He'd be stuck in the office from 9 to 6 doing paperwork. And he'd be sitting there like this, smoking away. Well, he ran out of cigarettes. This one waitress walks in. And now, we had a cigarette machine out in the lobby. So he hands her some change. And he says, "Hey, Betty, would you go out to the lobby and grab me a pack of cigarettes?" She stood up and said, "No, I absolutely will not." Well, my boss was like shocked. I guess he figured she was kidding at the time. And he said, "No, really, I'm kind of busy here. I just need you to go out and grab me some smokes." Again, no explanation as to why. But she says, "No, I will not." She storms out of the kitchen. My boss looks at me and I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know anything about this. You know, had she had a brain, she would have explained her stand on the smoking, but she didn't even do that. She was a really strange woman. Over the next year, I found out just how bizarre she was. A few of us were upstairs on break, and she was sitting there talking to us. She was going into the JWBS and stuff like that. And, well, she explains how she was teaching her young kids about the difference between the sexes. So she took her 2 kids into the bathtub with her, and we're scratching our heads. She's explaining, she's pointing out the different sex organs. And I'm like, "And you were in the tub with them?" "Oh, yes." "Couldn't you just explain the difference?" "Oh, no, I had to show them the difference." Okay. Well, trying not to laugh in her face was a little bit difficult. Well, anyways, I didn't have touch with Jehovah's Witnesses for many years after that, but I actually worked with another 2 in this factory I'd worked in for many years. One was a janitor. Real strange. Oh, surprise, right? Real strange dude. Now, my good friend Dave and he was a drinking buddy from way back. We were leaving work one night, and he was in the janitor's closet. We got this bright idea. We got some tools, we got some planks, slammed them in the closet and sealed them in. We did good. We went home. Next day, foreman calls us in the office and told us about it. That somebody had sealed him up. He was actually in there for a couple hours before we finally were able to free him. Well, Dave and I looked at each other. Who would do such a thing? I don't know, the boss says. We let it go at that. The other one was a security guard who took his job a little bit too seriously. He was the type of guy, you'd be sitting on the stairs. Now, we had a sign, no sitting on the stairs. He'd tap you on the shoulder, point at the sign. Okay, guy, while you're sitting on your lazy ass all day, we're in the plant sweating and working our asses off. Piss off. One day after work, like I said, I was a heavy-duty drinker at the time, so we always had a couple of bottles in the trunk. I'm outside in the parking lot after work and grabbed a bottle and going to drive over to a friend's house, and I have the bottle in a bag, and he walks up and says, "What's in the bag?" I says, "After." And he says, "After what?" "After hours." So I went on my way. More recently, I worked with this one JW in a bar and grill I worked in. Why they hired this girl, I don't know. She had this whiny little nasally voice that just cut into your eardrums. And now, a good friend of mine I had worked with multiple jobs. We were talking about that. I was out back smoking, and he's sitting there talking to me. And this girl comes out back, and she's like annoying as hell. And she walks inside, and my friend, the son of me, says, "Do you think she's one of Jehovah's Witnesses?" No. And I'm thinking, she could be. A couple days later, it's after work. I'm sitting at the bar, and she's talking to one of the other bartenders. And okay, I didn't think she was a JW because she was sitting there smoking as well. But she was talking about, in November, I'm getting baptized. Really? Talked to her afterwards and says, "I'm curious, what are you being baptized as?" She's smoking away, and she says, "I'm being baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses." And I'm like, "Well, they okayed that with you smoking and all?" Well, she figured I knew something about it. And, "Well, I don't smoke that much, and yeah, you do got to stop." And I'm thinking, yeah, you do. That was actually the last assembly I went to, was her baptism. She, I don't know if she's still in or not, but I hope she got the hell out. The worst co-worker I have ever had. This one girl I worked with right after I was baptized. Now, when I started working this one job, this was a few months after I was baptized. It was no secret that I was a JW. It wasn't like I went in with trumpets and announced it, but I made no secret of it. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. For some reason, my co-workers, unbeknownst to me, were trying to hook me up with this other girl in the department, who was not my type whatsoever. She was kind of built like a water balloon and had the personality of a tree stump. Come to find out, she was a JW and single. And I guess she found out that I was a single JW, so automatically she's thinking marriage material. Now, we all know Jehovah's Witnesses lock and load and they're married. I never thought that way. To me, you meet somebody, the thought of marriage comes after. But like I said, she wasn't my type at all. I didn't realize. Now, when you're a male JW and a female has been baptized long before you, the headship principle doesn't work. For some reason, this girl saw the need to police my actions. Over the next few months, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't say that. Now, when I'm in work, I like to play. It makes the day go by and eases the tension of the day. I like to play with the girls. I'd be talking to the girls, and she'd, with this face, this tight skull face, "You can't talk to her." Says who? And the more and more time went by, the more and more pissed off I was getting. Look it. We both got to work here. You do your job. I do mine. I don't need to be policed. Well, as months went by, she was getting on my nerve. Now she's trying to find out if I was a smoker. And she's asking me, and my coworkers are coming back and telling me this. And I'm like, just tell her anything. Just keep her away from me. It got so bad. She took offense to something I had done or said, and I can't really remember because it's been almost 10 years now. She went to the big boss and started complaining about me. Well, word has it that I was being fired. Now, I didn't know anything about this at the time, but everybody in the department now was on her. You just cost him his job. And she's like, oh, I didn't mean to. Well, I found out over the next few days, yes, she had, and I was called into the office. My boss, the big boss, asked me about it. I says, yeah. And I told him the situation. I figured I was this close to losing my job, and I figured I had to explain to him what the situation actually was. So I basically told him, I says, here's the deal. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I am single. And I explained to him that she is also one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and she is single. And apparently hold on guys, that clock is annoying as hell. Sorry about that. Anyways, so I explained in the situation that when females are single, they lock in. I like being single. Well, he stopped for a second. He says, you're a Jehovah's Witness? I says, yeah. She's a Jehovah's Witness. Yes. Oh, I understand. I was married to one. Yes. This saved my job at the time. I explained to the situation. They were looking at her productivity and my productivity and weighing them against each other, and I see the problem, and this is going to stop. I will transfer her out of the department. That was great. Everybody wanted to see her gone anyways. As it was, apparently the next day she had cried so much that it didn't look like she wanted to leave, and crying women, you just give them what they want just to shut them up. He pulled me in the office the next day and says, she's crying and crying and crying. She doesn't think she can function anywhere else. I says, okay. I will transfer myself out of the department. They gave me a raise to do so, and I opted to get off the shift just so there'd be no problems. As it was, she had been complaining about me to her elders, and there was a little bit of communication between the congregations about it. It didn't get anywhere because she was full of it up to her eyeballs. It was some months later. Now, mind you, she was working the day shift. I am working the night shift. There is no contact whatsoever. She's still complaining to her elders about me. Well, it got back to me that the elders finally said to her, well, are you working with him still? Well, no. And the elder said to her, says, well, he's not the problem then, you are. Apparently she had blamed me for turning her congregation against her, but she had made such an issue that she put herself on the chopping block. Whatever happened to her, I don't know. The last time I saw her, she was attending one of our meetings as her congregation had been temporarily closed. And she gave me the evilest glare. Now, I'm talking to a few J-dubs who saw this, and they went, what's her problem? I don't know. Never knew what happened to her. Never really cared. But I found out quickly that Jehovah's Witnesses in the workplace don't mix. Anyways, guys, that's all I got today. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. And I want to thank you all for letting me in. And thank you to my subscribers. I'll be back soon. You guys all have a good day.